Welcome to the premiere of the weekly sports roundup, where us here at WUVA will deliver you all of the news in Virginia sports from the week.
We know you don't have enough time to follow all of UVA athletics, but you're big fans of the Cavaliers, so we're going to do our part to bring you the biggest stories from across UVA athletics, all the big names, all of the Olympic sports, everything in between.
Today we're talking the men's basketball transfer portal. Right now we're at 8 departures. We're also talking baseball and men's lacrosse's recent woes. They're both currently unranked after being really national championship contenders at the start of the season. This and much more on Weekly Sports Roundup.
First up is men's basketball. It's been a busy week for the men's basketball team. We hired new head coach Ryan Odom. He was able to get a recommitment from Chance Mallory, the 4-star local from St. Anne's Belfield. It was a big loss. We felt that when Tony Bennett decided to step down. Obviously, though, it's not over for this program. Tons of guys have decided to enter the transfer portal. Not everyone has said that they're against coming back. We're still possibly in contention to get some of these guys to return, but you know, that's not the way you want to start your 10 years as a new head coach. Ryan Odom's got a lot of work to do. But Callum, what's up with men's basketball?
Yeah, we have 8 departures so far, 4 of them being regular starters on the season. That's Rhodey, Buchanan, Ames, and McNeely. As you mentioned, some of those guys are open to returning to Charlottesville, and McNeely made that especially clear in his announcement. But yeah, I can't help but have a bit of an uneasy feeling in my stomach with these just dramatic changes to the identity of this team. And I think to a certain extent that's just bound to happen within the state of NIL when you have a coaching change, that, you know, they're going to clean house to a certain extent. But I think we're going to see a lot of guys from VCU coming to this team, and I don't know, that's just something that we're going to have to welcome them with open arms. Maybe there's going to be more optimism when that day comes, but for now, yeah, it's a bit, I'm a bit nervous.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of nerves around the program. You mentioned it with NIL. You hope maybe the recommitment of Chance Mallory shows some of these players that Ryan Odom wants to win now. I mean, NIL is not an era where people are looking to build over 2-3 years, unfortunately, but that's what it takes when you're a new coach. So we'll see. It would be heartbreaking for McNeely to go elsewhere. He's been like the heart and soul of this team for a couple of years, and we'll see. But right now, basketball in Charlottesville, not as consistent as it once was, not the reliable sport that we thought it was. A lot of times in the past, football season ends, you're like, you know, that is what it was, but we've got basketball coming up. Not the case anymore. So we'll see from Odom, but I'm excited about the hire.
Now to baseball. Virginia baseball was supposed to be our saving grace this spring after a pretty dreadful fall and winter, but this team is in a bit of a tailspin. They've lost 5 straight to some good opponents and to some not great opponents like Richmond. But I don't know what to say. They've struggled in all facets of play. On offense, the slugging has been down from 567 to 431. There's just no power. I mean, there is obviously great hitters on this team, but they haven't been able to show up in the big spots, and they haven't been able to play complementary ball, especially with the loss of Evan Blanco. He's been nursing an arm injury. This pitching staff doesn't have somebody who can really take the program on their back when the offense is having, you know, an off day. And so somebody's going to have to find an answer for this program, or else Coach O'Connor is going to blow a gasket.
Yeah, you mentioned it. It's not just that they're struggling. I mean, we went from preseason number 2 in the country to outside the top 25. I don't know if there's been movement like that in the rankings in a long time, especially not here in Charlottesville. I mean, last year, obviously, we graduated Griffin O'Farrell, lots of big names that ended up, I think a lot of them in Baltimore with the Orioles.
2 of them.
So we lost a lot of talent, but it's not like we had a lack of it coming into this season. It just seems like execution is lacking at every facet. You mentioned it. The pitching room is not what it needs to be. The bats aren't good. They're not getting contact. It's just difficult right now to see what they can fix, but it looks for the future that we're not going to be in Omaha. We got a lot of sports that just have to rebuild, and unfortunately, baseball is one of those. But
I mean, no, I'd push back on that. I don't think this team needs a rebuild. They might be the most talented roster in the whole country. I mean, they were like national championship favorites. They had some of the best odds in the country at the start of the season. So I don't know if they just need, they need some good juju. They need some magic to turn this season around, because it seems to be more psychological to me than a skill skill gap.
That's fair. Maybe it's not a rebuild, but we need a reset because I think the whole team is in a slump, and I've never seen an entire baseball squad have like the jitters, but they've got it.
Yeah.
Like they can't break out of it. It's crazy. So
yeah, we're not on the diamond, so I can say it, but the yips.
The yips. That was the word. Yeah, they're yipping, dude.
Yeah, they are.
They're yipping.
Brief editor's note here. As this was being recorded, the Hoos took down Stanford 11-8 in the opening game of the series behind 6 strong innings from Jay Woolfolk. And then the next day they won again, 13-7. And then today, at this very moment, Aiden Teal walked it off in the 10th. So Virginia has now swept the series and really turned their bad vibes around, not just by winning, but by winning with a lot of character. And we take no credit whatsoever for helping them snap out of this.
It is another time. Virginia wins.
Softball, conversely to baseball, looks like a complete team. They really have an ace in Eden Bingham. She's able to take over every single game that she steps into the circle for. And offensively, they play super complementary softball. They come back in games. They've won in extra innings. They've won in the clutch moments. Great defensive plays. I really like this softball team.
Yeah, no, softball's been a lot of fun to watch. If you're ever out at Disharoon, just take a couple hundred steps to the right, go see the softball team. They're having a great year.
Palmer Park.
And if you're over there, you might catch some men's lacrosse, which has had a little bit more of a baseball than a softball season, for being honest. They're 5-4 through their first 9 games, which doesn't sound terrible, but if you know what the lacrosse program in Charlottesville is supposed to look like, it's not good. They've fallen outside of the top 25. It's just been inconsistency across the board in their performances and their personnel. What was really surprising, McCabe Millen put up, I think, the most points in the country as a true first year, has been in a slump. And our real production has come from a new starter, Truett Sunderland. He's had 40 points on the season, but there's been goalie battles between Kyle Morris and Matthew Nunes. There's just been no real consistent offense, defense, personnel in the cage. It's tough right now for the Hoos to get a rhythm because the guys on the field change week to week.
Do you see a pathway back into contention for this squad?
I do. I mean, the only way for them to make it to Memorial Weekend is a win in the ACC tournament. And that's really tough right now. UNC looks really good. Duke looks pretty good. The normal Blue Bloods are being Blue Bloods. But there's a ton of talent on this team, a little bit like baseball. Everybody has a good stick. They can dodge. You know, if you look at them individually, there's a ton of talent. They can all pop, but we got to find a way to get the ball around the horn and in the back of the net. Right now, there's a lot of standing and watching each other, hoping somebody does something. And we need somebody to be assertive. I was hoping that would be McCabe Millen this season. I don't know if he's just having trouble, adjusting to life after Connor Schellenberger and Peyton Cormier, which is a big adjustment. But I really think he has to step up hugely or it's not going to be good.
Yeah. Women's lacrosse, on the other hand, is ranked 11 nationally, and they're on a 3-game win streak currently. They're led by sophomore Jenna DiNardo, who's put up 20 goals so far, and they head into Syracuse this weekend for a huge ACC matchup. I think the number 2 and 3 teams right now in the ACC.
Yeah, it's a big game. The ACC stretch is always the hardest of the schedule, whether it's the men's team or the women's, but it's a big matchup, and if they can do well through their ACC schedule, they'll probably be playing into May. So now we're going to speed run through maybe some of the sports that haven't been making it onto your browser over the last few weeks. These are still big name programs, oftentimes our more successful sports if we're being honest, but we're going to run through right now and just give you an update. So first off, men's golf. 4 Cavaliers from the Virginia men's golf team finished top 25 at the Golden Horseshoe Intercollegiate. There was a standout freshman, Maxie Perger, shot 1 over 72 in the final round and finished in 7th. It seems like all that time they're spending at Farmington is paying off. But what's going on with the women's team?
Yeah, women's golf looks good too. They're ranked 12th in the nation, although they did fall over the weekend to the 2-ranked Florida State by a score of 3-2 in the Old Barnwell Derby Match Play Tournament. And they were led by a strong performance from Jacqueline Laha, who went 3-0. So there you go.
Yeah, I mean, that's a competitive tournament, the South Carolina Old Barnwell Derby Match Play. That's a big place to show up. Oh, all right. Swim and dive remains dominant in Charlottesville, especially on the women's side, as they are now the 5-time consecutive national champions. You know, the Olympic star Gretchen Walsh, no surprise, she grabbed 7 gold medals. Didn't even know they had that many rings.
I didn't know that was possible.
And the men's NCAA championships are currently underway, but they've already set a UVA record in the 800 meter and shown that that is still one of the strongest sports here at the university. Swim and dive, great job.
Yeah, really impressive. Tune in if you can find it anywhere this weekend. Men's swim and dive national championships still going on. And if you can't find them on your TVs, you can find them in the AFC.
Yeah, Monday through Friday.
Now let's move on to track and field. The outdoor season kicked off over the weekend for UVA, and there must have been 10, 12, 15 events that the Who's dominated in. I'm not much of a track and field person myself, but as I was researching for this video, I really got a big ego boost when I saw all the Who's coming home with golds.
You got an ego boost?
I did.
That's good, yeah. Vicariously living through the track athletes.
Yeah, there were a lot of standouts. First, we got freshman Maya Rollins, who won in the women's 100-meter hurdle.
Yeah, and there was also a podium sweep in the men's 110-meter hurdles, the women's 400-meter hurdle, a victory in the men's and women's 4x100 and 4x400 meter relays. A lot of domination.
Yeah, you also got Estelle Valenu, who dominated in women's discus and shot put.
Yeah, the team also won in pole vault and triple jump. I mean, UVA is dominating in the jumping events, the throwing events, the getting over stuff events. It's a good look for UVA track, and if you want to see it yourself, just go down to Lanning Park. It's in the same place as Klockner, Disharoon, the softball one.
Palmer Park.
So yeah, exciting stuff. It was also a big week for the tennis teams here at UVA. It seems that we're good at the country club sports, not surprising. But the 6th-ranked men's tennis team defeated Stanford, the number 8 team in the nation. Battle of the brains. The Public Ivies come out on top. And a pretty close matchup that was decided by a win from freshman Keegan Rice.
On the women's side of things, women's tennis is the number 2 ranked team in the country, and they played twice over the weekend. They split their matchups. First, they lost to Cal on Friday, but bounced back with a 4-0 sweep of Stanford on Sunday. For love.
For love. We're very refined. And that's it for the weekly sports roundup. We've brought you all the sports we could think of, but if there's anything else that you care about that you want us to cover, let us know. We'll get out and watch some women's rugby, club men's rowing. We'll do it all. So I'm Conwell Morris alongside
Callum Bohn.
WUVA.